Steve Barron, welcome to #Peace Day.
Thank you.
So, Steve, for those who are watching who may not know about you, could you tell us a little bit about your journey? And I'd like you to tell us a little bit about some of the iconic films that you've made, music videos. But please, for the audience, let us know about your journey.
Well, journey really is through the film industry as a camera assistant. I began back in the day, back in the '70s, late '70s, working on films like Superman 1 and A Bridge Too Far, and those pretty big movies. And then I got into, quite young, I was like 19, 20. I got into the music video world, and kind of did videos for like the Human League and Adam and the Ants and the Jam back in the late '70s. And along came MTV, and I got approached to do a Michael Jackson video, Billie Jean, and then went on to make videos for a-ha, Take on Me, Dire Straits, Money for Nothing. Through the '80s, I did a lot of videos, and some worked very well, and some not so good. But and then I got into movies. Did my first movie, Electric Dreams. My second movie was a surprise big smash hit, which was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which we had great fun doing. And I spent a lot of the '90s and 2000s doing drama. I now do quite a lot of drama, particularly crime drama. Although I did the series The Durrells and Around the World in 80 Days, directing episodes, lead director on those shows. So that's my background, really.
Yeah, incredible, absolutely incredible. Can I ask you, Steve? You've supported me for 25 years. You've supported Peace One Day for a very long time, and obviously we're incredibly grateful. I want to ask you, why have you stuck beside me in Peace One Day for so long?
I had no idea. No. Well, Jay, as you know, we met 25 years ago, and I appreciated your fight to get things better in the world, and immediately, and we talked about it quite a lot. And it was early days for you. You'd formed the company, and you'd done some events, and you were starting to put together a documentary. So I thought, as we became friends, I thought I could be useful to try and shape the first documentary, the bigger documentary, the Peace One Day, Day After Peace, isn't it, really? And as the documentary built, and you were filming everything anyway, so it gave us a great background to be able to put together a proper film, and it was a pretty incredible story where you actually managed to put together a day of peace in the hardest place on the planet to find peace. And I was very proud of that and proud of the work you've done. So I've obviously just, when I can, popped in to help over the years since, really.
So you talked to then, Steve, about helping me produce The Day After Peace. And I'm incredibly grateful. Without your kind of wisdom and experience, sort of mentoring me through that process. And we did come up with a really special piece of work that then sold, well over 100 countries. And of course, people can see The Day After Peace on the Peace One Day YouTube channel. And all of that you did for no financial gain, just pure love and pure support, which is just absolutely amazing. It's an interesting thing that I guess POD has done with film, isn't it? Kind of utilizing it to make things happen, creating constructive narrative that we hope informs, inspires, and engages people, towards action that we can then measure around fundamental issues. I suppose that part of it is probably a part of it that's interested you, right?
Well, that's how it's interested me, because it's how you've kept going, and the goal has always been to prove it can be done as you're doing it, and you finding the way of proving it is really smart, and getting the feed, rather than just a kind of ethereal feedback. You get kind of hard facts out of it, and that's why 25 years later, Peace One Day is still so strong. It's because you go beyond what you've done, what you've done, just the action. You go into the reaction and into the cataloging of the right results from what you've achieved.
Yeah, really interesting. I mean, and that just excites us, Steve. I know it does. I know we feel the same way, that, if we can make documentaries that are then taking somebody towards impact, towards some kind of behavioral change, particularly in the context of all the work that we've done around education with Andrea and with others, to honor Andrea and to Eggs and all of those wonderful people that have been such a big part of this, Steve. You know what I mean? Like, I think that is, yes, it's, I think, why we keep going, isn't it? It's really why we keep going, because the impact of the storytelling, is what changes the status quo, right?
Yeah, I guess that's a question you've got to ask yourself. Why you keep going? Because you go beyond everybody in terms of relentless pursuit and achievements, and so that's a question I put straight back at you. How on earth do you keep going through all those difficult times and the struggle to reset as much of human nature as we can,
Well, listen, I mean, look, with what's going on at the moment as we speak today, the wars that are happening around the world, of course, we're alarmed and frightened for so many, right, as we put the news on tonight. And the reason why I keep going, Steve, is very simple. We did create a day of peace. We did prove it could work. We have told a lot of people, and we do know that a lot of people manifest behavioral change, and that behavioral change decreases violence. I mean, those are the facts. That's the data you were speaking about earlier on. So if you can be involved in a creative process where the impact of that creativity leads to a decrease of violence, that's a really impossible thing to walk away from. In fact, I would never walk away from that, because I'm being creative. I love the arts and building frames. But then for that particular art to affect somebody's life where they might not be frightened when they go home because they're not going to get beaten, you know what I mean? Like, that's like, you know what I mean? You can't walk away from that kind of thing. And so that's it. That's what keeps me going. And then, Steve, for us, I mean, it takes us on to the next question quite nicely, which is the final question, really. And that is, the next 25 years, I kind of, we are now, as you know, what the lessons that we've taken from Peace Day, what you and I and John Batzik, to honor John, all did through film, is now put us in a position where we're going to do that for the elimination of racial discrimination, do that for climate action, do that for justice, for education, for the elimination of violence against women, for food, etc. And that's really where, this is going. And that's really exciting, that POD, becomes a kind of effectively a media company, which is, outputting constructive narrative around the fundamental pillars of our survival on a monthly, weekly basis. I mean, how do you feel about that vision? Will you have any time to help me?
Of course, I'll make some time. But yeah, I mean, it's incredible. It's like what we were saying. You're expanding vision. You're constantly expanding vision. Is so clever and really well thought out, and has worked and it will continue to work. And if it can push off into other media fields and other individual funnels that make up the whole, those are all great ideas. And I think, in the end, it's the same thing we do in the film business. It's ideas that make it work. And those are really, really cool ideas. So good luck with all of that, Jeremy.
Yeah. Well, listen, Steve, I mean, genuinely, we spent a lot of time together and, gone through some hard moments and some celebratory moments. And I just want to thank you and acknowledge you. And that's why I wanted to film you today, because Peace One Day would not be here if you hadn't have been there for us. I'm incredibly grateful. You're a wonderful friend and an amazing man. And thank you, Steve, for all of your help at Peace One Day. Oh,
well, thank you, Jay. It's amazing what you're doing, and just keep going, and I'll help where I can. And it's great. More power to you. Thanks, Jay.
Good luck with everything, Steve. See you, mate. Bye.
Bye.